Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and I've got my Pippin sidekick, Andrew Goldberg from
Larsa Pippen right here in South Florida.
Larsa Pippin. Yes, not
Just met up with Michael Jordan's son. We had a great evening, and now just to record some content.
Yes, yes. What is the gender? What is the gender, or do we not know yet? Never mind. Let's talk about the NBA, man. Let's talk about the NBA.
You want to talk? Okay. Week 3, overreactions, takes, opinions. This is quickly becoming kind of the favorite NBA show of Luca Nation. So we're going to do a little giveaway, guys. Before we start off, I have 5 takes. My good friend and co-host has 5 takes, but I picked up this card at Chantilly. You guys know this. This is Michael Jeffrey Jordan, as Brian likes to call him. We'll do a giveaway for this. So all you guys have to do as you listen to today's show, drop a hot take, your opinion, a player that we haven't mentioned, whatever it is, your hot take from the first 3-4 weeks of the NBA season, drop it in the comments, and we'll choose one of you, and I'll send this Metal Universe Jordan your way. So
97 Metal Universe Jordan. Looks like it's a pretty clean card. I like it.
Decent.
PSA 10, question mark? PSA 10, question mark?
Not a PSA 10. This is picked up at a show. If this was PSA 10, this would have been subbed.
Yeah, that's right.
Or even PSA 9, it would have probably been sub. But I want to start off because we're seeing a bunch of headlines. You know, Embiid went off for 101 points in 24 hours in 2 games. Wiseman sent to the G League. The Sacramento Kings team is interesting and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I want to start with Embiid, man. I want to start with Embiid because he was my season MVP before everything started. Yeah. And it's addition by subtraction. The first week when Harden was playing, there was all those stats. The most dribbles in the whole NBA was
always
Harden.
Yeah.
And now Harden goes out, and it feels like it gives Embiid opportunity to cook. Do you agree, disagree? What are your takes on that?
Dude, a million times over. Absolutely, yes, unquestionably. But the question is, can he cook? How many weeks or months can he cook like this, right? How much can he put this team on his back? The last 2 games were just downright, preposterous. I mean, Olajuwon types, across the board stat lines, unprecedented. Whenever you got to go back in the record books and find the last guy who did something and his name is always going to be Wilt Chamberlain, you did some crazy shit is the way I look at it, right? And so, his stat line was clearly the best fantasy stat line of the season for all you fantasy nerds out there like me. It was just like, God, I wish I had him on my squad. He was quickly disappearing from my legitimate MVP contenders list, not just because of team mediocrity, but because he wasn't really – it didn't look like he was running after the MVP. He went after it last year. Would you agree? He wanted that award, and he did everything he could to get it. He just came up a little bit short, to Jokic again. But this year, I didn't get that vibe through 12 games, but now those last 2 games were so eye-popping. And you know what? You just hope he doesn't blow his wad. Can I say that? Blow his wad? You hope he doesn't blow his wad too early in the season because every MVP's got usually they've got that signature moment or signature game. Yep. Usually that comes around game 65 or 75. I don't know if Embiid's going to have another one like last night, but he vaulted himself back in the conversation. One of my takes is I'm going to take you through a list, and you're going to tell me which guys are legitimately in the MVP race. I've got 9 that I think all of them are absolutely capable of winning the MVP, and then we can kind of go from there and see if there's anybody else we should add to the list. We're going to get there in a second. But Embiid has vaulted himself back in 2 games where I don't think I'd have had him in my 9 before those last 2 games.
What's crazy is he had 59 points on 105 team points, over 50% of his team. It's not like that was a 135-point game.
Right.
What scares me is what's going to happen when Harden comes back. What you've learned in the NBA, it's really hard to change your stripes, don't you think? Once you're that type of player, even if you know that you can't, you have a better player Embiid next to you, you have a young star in Maxey, you still kind of default to your habits, and he's just a dribble guy. Another thing that I don't love about Embiid, and we'll go through your 9, it always looks like he's so tired.
From his rookie year. When I watched the dude play his rookie year, I was like, this dude never got on a treadmill? Why is he always about to pass out? He looks and he's always falling down. I'm like, dude, you're like 285 pounds. You are literally the biggest player in the NBA. I think he's the biggest player in the NBA. Why are you always falling on the ground when you get, when someone slaps your arm?
It's confusing, Brian, because he's definitely fit. Like he's fit. He can play the whole game or most of the game. But like it's perception. Whereas with Shaq, we knew Shaq couldn't get up.
You never saw that.
But you never saw it. You look like when he was on the court, he was going to rip your face off, even if he was so tired and he couldn't make it back on defense.
Yeah.
With Embiid, I don't think he's as tired as he shows. Like I almost think it's a little bit of his antics.
You know who used to do that is they used to talk about this. Jim Brown, the running back. Like Jim Brown would get up from a run. He'd run the ball. He'd break 4 tackles and get a 12-yard gain. And he'd lay on the ground and hope for a teammate or an opponent to help him up. Then he'd limp back to the huddle. And then he'd break one from like 48 yards, right? And he'd be the fastest player on the field. Jim Brown used to play that rope-a-dope, that Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope type game. Maybe Embiid's doing that. I don't know. He's been doing it for like 7 years, though. It's getting old. Like
Jim Brown, Will Chamberlain, that's good company. All right, let's go through your 9. I have my MVP right now, no question, but I'm interested to hear your 9.
No question, though. There's first of all, let's be clear. We're 13, 14 games in, but if you had to pick it to this point, right, you may say there's no question. I still think there's a question. There's definitely a question because team success factors in, Andrew. That's the thing. Is if it was who was the best player in the NBA thus far statistically, that's one thing. But this weird amorphous most valuable player, then you get these arguments. But who's the most valuable to their team, and what does that even mean? I hate that. I wish it was just this dude's got the best stats, right? In the Major League Baseball, it's kind of that way, right? I mean,
my guy is team success on both sides of the ball, and individual success and stats. Let's go through your 9. I'll tell you who my guy is.
Okay. Well, here I'm gonna name 9 names in a row, and you tell me when I get to somebody that cannot win the MVP after 82 games. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I think all of these guys have to remain in the conversation until they're not. And right now, these 9 are definitely in the conversation. Doncic. Tatum, Giannis, although he got his ass handed to him by Okongwu last night. Mitchell, Donovan.
He's not going to win MVP.
He's in the conversation, my friend. Go look.
He's going to get overshadowed by Garland. I like Spider Mitchell. I was bidding on Mitchell cards in PWCC this week.
He's in the conversation.
For sure.
I said Giannis. Curry, and it's actually 8, not 9. I had Giannis twice because I love him so much. Curry, Steph, not Seth, and not Dell. Ja Morant, Joel Embiid, now, again, back in, and Jokic. Are there other guys that could win it?
Dame.
I don't have Dame in there, no.
Okay.
I don't have Dame in there.
So my guy is easily Tatum, like head and shoulders above all of those. Right now, if the season ends, it's Tatum. I think Tatum doesn't get enough love on the defensive end because of Marcus Smart.
Today, right now, I have Tatum in there, but and I have him. I would have Tatum 1, and that's really hard for me because I'm a Jaylen Brown. I was a Jaylen Brown investor, so I'm always backing out Tatum. But I call it like I see it. Tatum right now. The Celtics are at the top of the East. But here's the deal: if the Celtics lose 3 games in a row, now they're in 5th, and I don't have Tatum. So that's how finicky and sensitive, way too early MVP predictions are because team success matters so much, man. Especially when you've got players putting up similar statistical accolades. Like right now, nobody's really separated. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best statistical player in the NBA across the board, but he's not going to win MVP. Steph is really close. Kevin Durant's the second best statistical player in the NBA. Go look it up. On a fantasy, 8 categories, you're looking at all things considered. Durant's the next best player. Neither one of those guys are even on either one of our lists, probably. But look, if the Nets win 18 out of 20, now Durant's top 3, right? But if the Celtics lose, 6 out of the next 10, then Tatum drops probably to 5th or 6th or something like that. So team success has so much to do with it, and we're just so damn early, man. We're just too early.
I want to add a caveat because we look at record. We don't necessarily do the eye test. The 3 losses that the Celtics have, 2 of them are to the Cavs.
Yeah.
They're tough matchups, really tough matchups, and they're by like 1 point and 9 points. They're on a 7-game winning streak. They don't have Robert Williams, and they're a team that they keep changing coaches. Right, they had Brad Stevens who went to GM. Udoka got hungry. I don't know what he's doing. Now you have this other guy, and it looks like they haven't skipped a beat.
I think it's thirsty. I think he got thirsty. I thought thirsty was the word.
My apologies. My apologies. So they haven't skipped a beat, man. They haven't skipped a beat. And I'm a Philly fan. I don't love the Celtics, but I'm watching this team. I'm like, where's the weakness?
Yeah. They worry me. They worry me for sure. But the same can be said. I mean, my Bucks, hell, they got the same record, basically. They're 10-3. The Celtics are 11-3, and they've got no Drew Holiday. They just missed Giannis for 3 games. They've missed Drew Holiday for 3 or 4. They haven't had Middleton yet. They haven't had Connaughton yet. They haven't had Joe Ingles yet. I think when all of those pieces come together, I think the Bucks are going to come out of the East. I really do. Now, if they all come together, right? Especially now you're getting the development of a real backup point guard. Javon Carter's a real backup point guard, not this fossil George Hill that, wanders on the court like a zombie. He's horrific now. His time is over. You got Javon Carter putting up legitimate NBA starter type numbers and starter minutes. He'll go back to being, a backup point. Grayson Allen does his thing, and he's in and out of the lineup as well. But they're missing a lot of really important players. So when those guys come back, they may make a little run here, win 18 out of 20 or something nuts like that.
Occasion. So let's talk about this. I wrote on my page, Giannis worries. So I'm worried about Giannis, and let me give you my take and tell me what you think about this. So Giannis is incredible. I think he's Defensive Player of the Year. JJ Redick would agree. Him and Brook Lopez, it's almost impossible to score on them on the defensive end. Every single year, Giannis has improved on offense. There comes a point in someone's career from a visual perspective where we start putting him into the category of, is this guy just an offensive machine or is this guy a defensive machine? And my worries with Giannis at his stage in his career is he's trending closer to an Olajuwon career than a Shaquille O'Neal career. And from a purely sports card perspective, that really worries me. I love Giannis. Intangible, plays hard every play, perfect team guy. But to me, it seems that his career, when it's all said and done, is Hakeem Olajuwon versus Shaq. Agree, disagree?
Well, who do you think had a better career, Olajuwon or Shaq? Have you looked at that really closely?
I think Olajuwon is right near there.
And they're what? Yeah, they're right there, man.
But what's so crazy about this from a collectability standpoint? I know Shaq doesn't get the love, but he's still head and shoulders above.
Head and shoulders. He is, yeah.
And it's not, dude, Hakeem is beloved. We actually in Chantilly, he was there. He autographed line out the door. And you can't say anything about the guy. Class act, amazing guy, international guy.
Mentor, yeah, just everything. Yeah.
But from a collecting standpoint, first, we don't love those guys that are just defensive. Like we remember them as defensive. Hakeem is incredible on offense too. Any thoughts on that? It was just a take.
Yeah, I think Giannis checks a lot of boxes that Hakeem didn't check. I think he's engaging. I mean, Disney's already made a movie about the guy. From all accounts, and again, I don't know the dude personally, but I have yet to see. By the way, what are you drinking? Tea again?
Iced tea.
Iced tea. I don't see a lot of similarity. I don't think there's any concern of Giannis becoming a defensive specialist. The concerns I have for Giannis are this: his free throws are the worst they've ever been, and we had started to see some progress on that, and it is quite simply a mental issue. It's a mental issue that's manifesting itself physically. He's locking out his legs before he releases the ball. His release point is too high. His release point on his three-pointer, his threes look better than his free throws, which is odd. It's unusual. You should have the same stroke, right? Everything upper body should look the exact same on a free throw as it does for a three.
You're a natural shooter.
Yeah. It's almost like he's doing a math problem. When you're doing a math problem, you talk yourself through it. All right, do this, carry the three, here's what this, this minus this. He's almost talking himself through free throws. It should be very natural. I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn. I played very small college basketball, but I shot about 87% from the free throw line. And I never practiced free throws in my life, ever.
Well,
never.
You know why that is. Some people, when you learn it at 6, 7, 8 years old, it's natural. When you watch Rise, right? He wasn't even meant to get drafted.
Yeah.
Right? Like he started his career in basketball so late. Embiid did as well. That's what makes Embiid a little bit interesting.
Olajuwon was a goalie in Nigeria.
You could tell that Giannis learned his mechanics late.
Yeah,
that's the way I'd put it. I agree with you totally. It's a math equation is a great way to knees, hips, now we move
release. Look, I'm seeing his elbow get inside of the ball. Like your elbow's under the ball, right? It's his elbow's inside of the ball. It's like that's not even a natural position. But here's the other thing that worries me about Giannis. And look, this is coming from a really big Giannis collector, a big Bucks fan, and a big Giannis fan. Does he have? People are like, oh, he doesn't have any skill. He just runs through people. Well, he does run through people, but he also does have some skill. But I'm not sure the most important skill in the sport of basketball is shooting a basketball. And I just worry about how Giannis is going to age. We're not there yet to where it's really going to be a concern. But at 32, when Giannis can no longer either take his first step by someone or just get shoulder to shoulder, when literally you can keep him in front, I worry we may see him hit a wall a little bit sooner than some of these other guys like a Doncic, who doesn't necessarily rely on physical prowess right now, although he is a big monster too, but like he doesn't rely on physical prowess. He relies on footwork and hit up and unders and head fakes and just real subtle stuff with, the way he handles the ball. Giannis just truly is a bull in a china shop, and he does have skill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I don't think he's going to age well as I don't think anybody's going to age as well as Doncic, but he especially would worry me.
So I found his shot. So if anyone out there knows Giannis, wants to relay this message, I need no credit. I found his shot. And Kirk Goldsberry posted this. He's like the death of the post game, right?
Yeah.
Because when you got older, you got in the post and you're
should have half hook 100 times in a row. He should have half hook every time.
So the Durant post move when he kind of gets right on the elbow, turns you inside, and it's like a 12-foot fadeaway. That's kind of easy because he's tall. That's his move. He shoots that so well, but he shoots it like once or twice a game.
Yeah.
And it's like
lately he's been shooting a baseline fadeaway that never goes in. Like if I don't sports gamble, but if there was a way to do a prop bet on Giannis missing the next 17 baseline fadeaways, I would bet that he will, because I never feel like it's going in either.
But Cajun, the funny thing is the same move, just spin the other way.
I know. There's something about it where he can't shoot it from the baseline, but he's okay around the elbow. I've seen it. I know he does shoot it okay from the elbow. The funny thing is when he gets the ball a foot behind the free throw line, he's what is that, 16 feet away from the goal. His defender is like 8 feet away from him. Yeah. And he's wide open, and he gets that rhythm dribble, and he shoots it uncontested. He looks okay. But if you put him on the free throw line and everybody stands on the free throw lane and lets him shoot a free throw, I turn the TV. I turn the channel. When I watch League Pass, ask my kids. I was doing it last night.
Cajun turns the game off.
Cajun Jr.'s girlfriend was over at the house. Whoa. Giannis got fouled. He was already like 5 for 11 for the free throw line. Right when he got fouled, I changed the channel, and she's like, "What are you doing? I thought you liked the Bucks." I was like, "I refuse to do it. I'm not watching it. It's maddening. I can't do it anymore. I'm done." And he's on my fantasy team. It's just dragging me down in the free throw category.
We need to reframe success. So you have kids. You know that there's different levels to whatever sport they're playing at, and sometimes they have to take a step down, learn, work on fundamentals before they can move on up. This Wiseman to the G League, it's so funny, the narratives that are spun in the NBA. I think this is the best thing that could happen to him. He should play 2 years in the G League. He hasn't played ball since college. He has no fundamentals. He looks like a deer in the headlights. Here's the thing. Let him go play against lower competition without the spotlight, without the pressure, and let him develop. He's so raw. He's so young. This is the best thing that ever happened to him. And we need to have this conversation more about, like, this isn't a relegation. This is not demotion. This is, you got to learn and get better. And this NBA is a little bit too high of a level for you right now. Not based on your potential, but based on your current skills. Thoughts?
Well, it cuts both ways. I'm with you. That's great. But I still think, we talked about this last episode, I think there's more going on. There's something else going on. It's not just a basketball decision. I think there's something else going on. But here's my deal. He's a legitimate 7 feet tall, and he's 250, 255, 245, whatever. He's gigantic.
Okay.
You should be able to contribute to your NBA team, especially a team that is devoid of decent big men, just by playing harder than every single person on the court.
He hasn't played in competitive games in 3 years.
It doesn't effing matter. Precious Achua can play harder than everybody on the court.
Precious is a monster. And
I know. You know why he's a monster? It's not because he's skilled. It's because he just plays harder. He wants the ball more. Kenneth Faried made a career out of it. How about this, James Wiseman? Just pretend that the ball is life and you've got to have it and you get paid every time that you get a rebound, right? We've seen completely unskilled people. Ben Wallace had no skill at all. Guess what? He just played harder than everybody on the floor, and he was meaner and tougher and cared more than everybody else. And he's a Hall of Famer because of it. I worry about that. I worry about the James Wiseman motor. And I don't know if you're going to go find that motor in the G League. Maybe he'll go down there and dominate people. I don't know.
So I'll tell you from my personal experience, something that really frustrated me. It's when they would say that same thing about Andrew in soccer. And now looking back on that, I don't think that's a thing you find. I think it's a thing you develop. Playing hard is a skill. Working hard is a skill. It's not someone's born with hard work, with work ethic and not. It's the mentors and the leaders in their lives show them and teach them how to work hard.
I don't know. All I know is this season did not go the way I expected it to go for James Wiseman. I will raise my hand and take all the blame. I really thought he was going to be a humongous difference maker for that Golden State Warriors team. And it's not because he's not capable. It's because, it doesn't look like he knows how to play basketball, which is a big deal. God bless you. Yeah, it looks like he doesn't know where to be or where to go or what his, responsibilities are. And it just doesn't look like he's playing really hard. Like if you're
how many games he's played in college?
Well, I don't care about college. Who cares? A lot of guys don't play in college.
3 years in 3 games in college.
So how many did Anthony Simons play?
I don't know about Anthony. He played 3.
How many did LaMelo play? I mean, dude.
He played an entire 2 years in Australia and in whatever that country was. I can't pronounce it. It was Serbia, Slovenia. Yeah. Dude, he played 3 games in college. He took an entire year off. He's played like 12 games in the NBA. It's still sports. Like, you got to play. You got to play. You got to play.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, again, if you're asking me, would I rather him sit on the bench and watch Kevon Looney trudge around the court and slip and slide all over the place and take charges? No, I'd rather him in the G League busting people's asses. So you're right. I mean, I agree with you. I'd rather him be getting buckets in the G. Didn't Jordan Poole play in the G League, for God's sakes? He dropped 30 last night.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a reclamation project going on, and he'll get down there and he'll come back with a vengeance. I don't know.
Poole's been my biggest disappointment. I have one more topic, but let's go to some of yours.
Okay.
9 MVPs.
Yeah, we did our 9 MVPs. One of my topics was Wiseman going down to the G League, so we knocked that one out. Let's go with here's one. I've got the standings pulled up here. Let me screen share. You good? There we go. I got the standings pulled up on NBA.com. Okay. Let's look at the teams in each conference that are 11 through 15, and you tell me which of these teams has absolutely no chance whatsoever to make it in the top 10 to where they would get into a playoff, a play-in game. And then you tell me the teams that you think have a chance, and then you tell me the teams that, even though they're 11 through 15, they're going to finish in the top 10. Okay?
Hornets.
I'm going to go here. Detroit Pistons. No chance, right?
Pistons, no way. Pistons have
no
too many guards and they have no direction.
Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo's back.
I think
yes or no, they have no chance to get in the top 10.
No. I don't rate LaMelo too high. I think LaMelo could be good with a lot of all-stars on his team, but he's not someone that can carry a team from 14th to 8th.
I see the same thing when you're next, Hayward and Rozier are the next best players. That's just not enough to finish in the top 10 in the East. It's just not. So I say no chance whatsoever. I don't care what LaMelo does. I'm a little higher on LaMelo than you are, but I'm with you. He just like Alonzo, he needs a bunch of really good players around him, or at least some really good shooters. Orlando Magic.
They're not going to make the top 10, but they're going to be one of the most exciting teams to watch all year.
I like watching.
You were so right about Bol Bol, man.
I told you, dude. I told you. We got to talk about him. I'm about to do a video on him. He's fun to watch. He's just freaky looking, man.
That's a guy that instead of whatever they were doing with him for 3 years, he should have been in the G League playing.
Probably. Or on the NBA floor playing. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't ready the last few years. I don't know. But I would say Orlando has absolutely no chance to finish top 10. No offense to Jake Roy.
They're going to be fun to watch. They're going to be very fun to watch.
They're going to be very fun to watch. A good league pass team, but I don't think they have a chance to get in the top 10. Brooklyn Nets.
KD is doing some amazing stuff. I think 14 straight games over 25 points to start the season.
Yep.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
You would put them in. Who would you take out? You got to take a team out if you put them in. Your options are probably the Pacers and the Knicks, if I had to guess.
Pacers, Knicks, or Heat. Heat are. I went to a Heat game yesterday. They just never have talent. I think that they just love signing old, out of shape vets who play hard or D League or G League talent and sign them to huge contracts like Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent and Max Strus.
I was just going to ask you about those three guys. Those three guys all fit that description. And Fred VanVleet,
Kyle Lowry
fits the description of slightly overpaying the vet, right? Man, if I had to bet right now on the Nets being top 10 or not being top 10, I would bet that they're not. But let me tell you, there's a caveat. There's an asterisk. I don't think KD or Kyrie finish the season on the Nets.
Fine. Well, so that was one of the topics. So we did this.
That's one of my topics is Kyrie too.
Well, okay.
But let's finish. Okay. So you and I both think the Nets, if as currently comprised, I don't know where Ben Simmons is, somewhere in the woods while his team's playing NBA games. And then Kyrie's now on 7-game suspension. It's been 13 days. I don't know. I thought it was 5.
Wait, they extended it from 5 to 7?
Well, it's been 7.
Dude, I was watching a Saturday.
My understanding it's a minimum of 5, but it's indefinitely. So I don't know what the hell the deal is.
I was watching Saturday Night Live. I never watched it, but it was Chappelle went on. And Chappelle had a great line. He's like, "Dude, Kanye fucked up so bad they punished Kyrie."
Yeah. I watched it. It was funny. My wife and I. That's the first time I watched Saturday Night Live in like 5 years. It was actually really funny. And Chappelle's the reason I watched it, of course.
Well, Chappelle brings, even though you know his takes, he kind of cuts in the middle and lets both sides take their stand.
He's an absolute genius. Like, great comedian, of course, but like literally, I think he's got genius level intellect. The way he ties stuff together is just preposterous. So we both think the Nets, if they play and keep their roster the way it is, will make it because you got Seth Curry coming back, you got Joe Harris, playing. At some point those guys should
10 teams, right? So you can make the playoffs with a playing game.
I take the Knicks out. I don't believe it. I think that there's 2 players on the Nets better than the best player on the Knicks, and I just don't think that a Kyrie and Durant team can possibly not finish in the top 10. Do I think they can win the East? I do not. I think they have any chance to win the East. I would have thought they'd have had a chance because I thought we were going to see the Ben Simmons revenge tour, and damn, I am taking an L on that prediction. He's got no pride. So I am done defending Ben Simmons. I've tried it. I was going to give him a 3rd chance or 5th chance or whatever this was, but I'm done with that. What about the Chicago Bulls? They're half a game behind the Knicks and 1 game behind the Sixers, the Pacers, and the Heat.
Injuries are unpredictable, man.
We got the Wizards here at 5th. Do we think the Wizards are going to stay in the top 10?
They started really well last year, and then it's the same story every single year. With Bradley Beal, he's not going to play 82 games. I mean, the unicorn KP, he's good at times. He has flashes. Same with Kuz, but I don't see that. I don't see them being higher than a 10 seed.
If you made me bet money, again, I don't sports gamble, but if you made me bet money today, I would put the Bulls in because Lonzo's coming back at some point. I would put the Nets in because theoretically, possibly Kyrie's coming back at some point. And I would take out the Knicks and I would take out the Wizards. I have the Heat and the Pacers in. I think the Pacers are only going to get better. It's just a question of, are they going to allow this to remain or are they going to jump at the 2 first-round picks if, the Lakers do that deal? But it sounds like the Lakers are – the longer the Lakers wait, the less likely Pelinka is to change his mind on that trade. So
I want to say one thing on the Magic. So they're 0-6 away, but they really don't have a huge point differential. They've only it's minus 2 points and they're 4-10. Normally you wouldn't see that. So the Magic aren't far away. They have playmakers. Yeah.
I don't think they have a single guy who's done it. So I don't think – do they? Am I missing somebody on that roster? I don't think they have a single guy who's ever succeeded in the sport of basketball from a team standpoint.
What do you mean? I mean, Jalen Suggs, I think he won with Gonzaga.
I'm talking about in the NBA. I don't think they have a single locker room guy to say, hey, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we need to do it. This is how I did it. I've watched this happen before. Their coach hasn't. No veteran player has. Terrence Ross is their veteran.
Yeah, but Bri, same thing can be said about John Morant and the Grizzlies.
They
right?
did
That's
it
why
last
we
year.
go to. Well, no, last year exactly. So that's why we go
Oh,
to the
you mean last
draft
year.
to find that one guy
Yeah.
to see if he could be the culture changer.
I mean, they had veterans on their team last year. Orlando has no veteran. It's literally like watching the most talented G League team play every night. It's fun as shit, man. I love turning it on. You never know what Bobo's going to do. Jalen Suggs goes from all-star numbers to like 2, 4, and 5 on 1 of 11 shooting the next night. Banchero's hurt. I don't know. It's a weird fit, man. They've got like 5 different post players that could all start. I don't know what they're doing. I just don't see any way in hell that the Magic finish in the top 10.
I think you're probably right on that.
Yeah. All right, let's do the West real quick. Let's go quicker on the West. The Rockets, we agree, no chance. But I love watching them on League Pass too. They really are fun to watch.
Western Conference Orlando.
Yeah. Los Angeles Lakers.
Don't understand the team at all. They take joy away from me as a fan watching. I'll put it that way.
They have stolen LeBron's last 2 or 3 years from us. Or you could blame LeBron for this. I mean, it's his choice to go, and then it's his choice to stay. So you could blame LeBron directly, but the surrounding parts just don't make any sense. And I just can't believe LeBron hitched his wagon for this last 4 or 5, whatever years with Anthony Davis. I just can't believe it. I know they got 1 title in the bubble, but I just can't believe he did that. He struck me as a person who's always keeping the door open to jump into the next place just in case something goes wrong. Well, it's gone wrong, buddy. And he's stuck with Anthony Davis. And I know he's putting up really good numbers this year, but just wait because it's coming. Anthony Davis, sprained wrist, out 3 to 4 weeks, is coming. And LeBron's got an adductor muscle pull, and I don't know if you know what an adductor is. Good luck finding that to even stretch it or massage it or fix it. That's a biatch, for lack of a better word.
It's a lingering injury, right? Like I think he had a groin issue when Lonzo was still on the team, and it was like on and then off and then on, and they're like he's 35 or 36.
Yep.
So it's a weird team, man.
Adductor is weird to get to. Yeah.
They don't look
no
like
chance. I say no chance.
They don't look like they have fun, man. It's such a disappointment.
They don't look happy. I would not have said no chance before the season started. I had them kind of in that like 6 to 8, just because LeBron is just so damn good, But at 3-10, 6 games back of first, 2.5 already out of 10th, and 10th is the Warriors. That's a problem. And you got a lot of other teams that, honestly, to be honest with you, top to bottom, the other teams are more talented. We've heard it for how many years that we heard, oh, the Lakers are so talented. Why are they underachieving with all this talent? What talent? I mean, AD, a really old LeBron who doesn't look quite the same, in my opinion. And AD doesn't look quite the same either, at least not on a consistent basis. Then what? Westbrook?
I'm surprised they round out their roster with like Reeves and like that other guy. I think it's kind of funny to see who they bring in as like number 4, 5, and 6, like Patrick Beverly, that Reeves guy, and
it's just a disaster.
It's weird team. It's weird.
I don't watch them. I don't even watch them. I have no interest in watching who I think is the second greatest player that's ever lived. I have no interest in watching him play basketball right now, and I can't because he's hurt. But I don't enjoy watching that team. I don't turn them on. Oklahoma City Thunder. They're 6-8, man. They're tied for 10th right now. There's 4, 6, and 8 teams, and the Kings are 6 and 6. I mean, these are all really a lot closer than 8 through 13. They're a game or 2 away. The Thunder, can they finish in the top 10 in the West?
I'm going to go on record and say they will finish in the top 10. They're going to be in a play-in game.
I think there's no chance in hell that they will.
Well, that's a ridiculous statement.
Well, I just think SGA is playing like the best player in the NBA, and he's not. So when he starts playing like a really good player instead of the best player in the league, I think that they're going to probably be 12 and 30 instead of 6 and 8.
So you give 0% that they make a play-in game.
I don't think there's any chance in hell that they finish in the top 10 in the West.
0%.
I don't think it's. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 10. It's either they do or they don't. So it's either 100 or 0. And if I have to choose, I'm taking the 0. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you assign a percentage.
Gentlemen's bet that I say that they finish in the top 10.
What are we gambling? What are we betting? Let's not give away that Jordan. Let's give it to me since I'm going to win this bet.
You only buy PSA 10s. This is going to one of you guys. Leave a hot take from the first 3-4 weeks of the NBA season in the comments. I'll pick one of you and I'll ship this out. We are gambling an Anthony Simons slab. $150 budget.
Do you have? You want to bet me $150 that the Oklahoma City Thunder finish in the top 10?
Is that good odds? Luca Nation, what do you guys think? Should I take that bet?
Nuts. You better. You know what? I'm gonna give you until next week's episode to really reconsider that. I don't think you want to do that.
I'll bet it. I want good odds though.
What about the Spurs?
No, I mean Pop already said he's not going to make the playoffs.
No chance. Agreed. No chance. This is where it gets tricky. The Minnesota Timberwolves.
No, and I think they're going to be the biggest bust of the year. People are going to realize what they truly are. Gobert sucks, clogs the lane, overrated on defense. Anthony Edwards is not that guy. Cat has a girl voice, and D'Lo is a baby.
You realize this is the reel that Alex is going to cut and put on Luca Nation Network, and people are going to light your ass up. You just said Gobert sucks at defense, and that's all he does is play defense and rebound. I would be astonished if the Timberwolves don't figure it out and finish in the top 10. I think it's more likely the Clippers don't. And that was everybody's preseason darling, like to win the title. They're only 2 games apart right now.
The Jazz are going to finish with a better record than the Timberwolves. And everyone's going to realize how much they fleeced them on that trade for the defensive player of the year, Gobert, who is a joke of a defensive player. He can't guard anybody on the perimeter.
Here's a hot take. The Jazz are not finishing in the top 10. There you go.
Either are the Timberwolves.
Huh?
So either are the Timberwolves, so that's fine.
You think they're both going to top for 11th? We're going to see. Yeah, I know we're 15, 16, 17% of the way through the season. I don't think this continues with the Jazz. I don't think this is possible. They've lost 2 in a row. I think it's probably they're going to lose 8 of their next 10, and then reality is going to set in, and teams are going to not assume it's a W when the Jazz come to town. Markkanen is not the most difficult dude in the world to defend if he's the focal point of your defensive game plan. And then after him, you've got Sexton and you've got Jordan Clarkson. And then after that, it's just guys, right? It's just NBA rotation, good NBA rotation guys, but just guys. The Timberwolves, however, D'Angelo Russell is hot or cold. Anthony Edwards, for some reason, is throwing a tantrum and pouting, not taking shots, not attacking the rim, not playing as hard as he can. I don't know if it's a power struggle with Cat or whatever. And then Cat and Gobert is just a horrible fit. Like I said from the beginning, it would be a terrible fit. I did think it would make them really elite on defense, but it's been so damaging to them offensively that I think I don't know. Maybe they'll figure something out. I don't know. But I think they're so talented, they will figure it out. And I really like Jaden McDaniel, too. So I think the Timberwolves will figure it out. I don't think the Timberwolves are going to jump into the top 5. Now, I picked them really high preseason. I really did because I thought they were going to be a really, really good defensive team. And I don't know. We'll see. So I'm eating my words on that. Man, I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. Ben Simmons, Wiseman, the Timberwolves. Of course, everybody was wrong on the Jazz and the Trailblazers.
Don't beat yourself up.
No, I'm not. You miss every shot you don't take. Who's coming out? Who's in the top 10 right now that you think is not going to finish in the top 10? Kings stay in?
Kings were my team to talk about. So, like, when they traded Halliburton for Sabonis, it's kind of like a lateral trade. But you like Keegan Murray. And the Kings are interesting, man. Do I think the Kings are going to contend? No. But I think if the Kings make the playoffs and even compete in the first round, I think it's a win for that organization. De'Aaron Fox took a step up. Sabonis is good. And then Keegan Murray is interesting, right? Like
he finally had a really good game last game. He did. He had a really good game last game. He hadn't really taken off. He hadn't taken off the way Boncaro and Benedict Mathurin have taken off. But his last game was good, and I still believe in that kid. I really think he can be an elite wing scorer in the NBA. He's got good prototypical size. He's gonna be all right.
You have a coach at Mike Brown who I'm not fond of, but he's Coach Curry. He is Coach LeBron. He's been around. if they could get their defense from, I think they're like 27th to like 14th, they'll be contending because their offense is good and it's really hard to stay in front of Fox. This was my team to like watch. You know, you hope that they do well. They have a really passionate fan base.
Yeah, they do. They just draft so stupid. I know they got Keegan Murray and there's hope there, but they just, God, man. And then they finally got it right with Halliburton, and now he's out the door. And then they drafted, you look at Bagley, you look at Davion Mitchell. I mean, it's like, ugh.
You can't keep missing, but you can. The Sixers missed for like 7 years in a row.
The process was a humongous miss, save for one. So, yeah, you're right. All right, that's it for that one. How about this question? Let's say LeBron's out for an extended period of time. Lakers the worst team in the NBA. The Lakers without LeBron and everybody else has their rosters. Is that the worst team in the NBA?
No, I think the Spurs are worse.
You think the Spurs right now are worse than the Lakers if LeBron was not on their roster? Let's say he's out for the season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Spurs roster is kind of a joke. Jacob Poeltl and Devin Vassell are like your two best players.
Well, I know, but they've got a better record than the Lakers right now. They've got twice as many wins with LeBron playing. So it's like, well, how much, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're going by record, but like you said, it's 14 games into the season. I don't think that the Lakers roster with AD and Russ are worse than the Spurs over an 82-game season.
Well, hopefully we don't have to find out. Hopefully LeBron can get back on the court. All right, what do you got? What else? We talked about Wiseman. We talked about the Lakers. We talked about the 11 through 15 teams that we think can sneak in. What guys, comment who you think is the team that's in the 11 to 15 in the West or the East that you think is a clear cut, definitely going to sneak into the playoffs, at the very least into the play-in, which is 7 through 10. Let us know what you guys think. It's just really hard. Look, 16%, 17% into the season. I think we are. Is that right?
Yep.
We are 17% of the way into the NBA season. It's still really early. That's less than 1/5. There's 83% of the games are left to be played. Injuries can happen. Trades can happen. Tantrums can happen. Stupid shit of the tabloids has and will continue to happen where players get suspended, which leads us to Kyrie Irving. 13 days he's been suspended. 7 games he's missed. What's the deal? Is he going to play for the Nets again? Did you ever think that someone promoting a movie, not to get into it too deep and get political, but like, did you think someone, even if it was a mistake to promote the movie, do you think that would lead to him not playing NBA basketball?
What's my take on the Kyrie Irving thing?
Yeah, the whole thing, the way it was handled, what he said, what he did, how it was handled, what the punishment is, what they're asking him to do, his unwillingness to do it, all of that.
I was not. I'm Jewish. I was bar mitzvahed. I was not offended by the tweet, and I don't understand the culture we are getting into where we take people's paychecks because we don't agree with them. It's a very weird precedent to set. Like, and then the funnier stuff was like the list of demands, like as if he's like a 14-year-old boy that needs to be schooled. But what are we doing anymore?
Andrew, I rarely side with Kyrie Irving. He's a weird dude, man.
I'm not siding with Kyrie. Like,
I don't mean that. But I'm about to side with him. If someone treated me like that as a grown man, as a 100 millionaire, and said, "You will do," after you've said, "I'm not anti-Semitic," like we're treating this situation like he came on television and said, "You know what? I just don't freaking like Jewish people." He didn't do that. And to be quite honest with you, even if he did, that's not a reason to take away someone's employment. It's a reason not to endorse him. It's a reason not to cheer for him. It's a reason to hate him. It's a reason to protest. But it's not a reason to remove their ability to make a living. Right. Not that he's hurting for money. You know what I mean?
We struggle as humans to like differentiate. Like, we didn't like him when he said the flat earth thing. We didn't like him when he refused the vaccine, but like we cancel people on like the same level sometimes that like you had Miles Bridges who like completely was assaulted as what we put these weird things on the same level and they're just we're not able to differentiate. Like, I don't agree with him versus this guy committed a crime. And I don't understand this like scapegoating Kyrie. We did it with the vaccine with him. We're doing the same shit. It's stupid. I don't care as a fan. I just want to watch Kyrie play. Stop shoving this like punishment in my face as a fan.
Do you think there's a chance he never plays another NBA game?
We've said this narrative since this Nets team was formed. It's been chaos since this Nets team was formed. Is Durant never going to play? Is he going to have a trade? Are they going to win a championship?
Yeah, but this is a legitimate question now, which we wouldn't have said 2 weeks ago. He was playing and he was producing, and he's a freaking pain in the ass on offense. He's an ass kicker. Do you think there's a chance that he, like Stephon Marbury, just gets sent packing and says, you know what? You're just not worth it. You're not playing on our team, and then no one else picks him up and puts them on their team? I know we live in a different era now where money talks and this and that, but money talks both ways. He puts butts in the seats, but at the same time, he pisses a lot of sponsors and endorsers off because you never know what he's going to say. Is there a chance that we never see Kyrie Irving play another NBA basketball game? Is that reckless? Is that preposterous?
Stop showing the world everything he says. Just let his Twitter followers see it, and it'll blow over by tomorrow. Go to the Lakers, team up with LeBron again. That would be fun to see.
God, I don't know if that would solve any problems.
Trade Westbrook straight up for Kyrie. That's what needs to be done. Westbrook with Durant again, and then bring Harden back, and then bring Kyrie and LeBron back.
The same guys just keep getting traded all around the league. And they're all Hall of Famers. They're all the most talented players in the world, but nobody wants any of these players.
Russ, Harden, KD, how they started, and Kyrie and LeBron, how it all started, how it all began. Yeah. Bring it back. One trade solves for that.
Oh, my God. What else? You got anything else on your list?
Yes. Oh, I have two things. One statement, one question. So one thing is this Suns team is so interesting because this Suns team at their best is like a Western Conference number one could come out the West, but they're one injury to Chris Paul away from honestly not even being an 8th seed. You guys love Booker, and someone compared Booker's the way he shoots. It looks so pretty compared it to Kobe. I'll tell you, Booker's the most passive 2-guard I've ever seen. Like what yesterday, Chris Paul's out. He's the only real scorer other than Payne. He doesn't attack relentlessly. He gets a shot, and when he gets a shot, he makes a shot. Suns are an interesting team that could be a 1 seed, or they could literally fall off the map. Very interesting team. Second is a question for you. Yeah. Now that you've seen Zion, what does his career look like? How many years does he stay in the league? What's your prediction now?
You're asking me to project the remainder of Zion's career? That's really tough. By the way, yesterday Booker took 22 shots and scored 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists on 50% shooting.
Wildly efficient. I was at the game. Incredible shot. He gets his shot. Like
he played 42 minutes. I think he's plenty aggressive. I just think he plays in a different way. I mean, he's not a guy that dunks on big men. He doesn't attack the rim like Kobe did in his prime. But
well, aggressive. Not just. I don't mean by dunk. I said he
carry the team.
There should be a spell, especially with Chris Paul out, where there's 10, 15 games of 40 shots that he takes. I want to see that Booker. I don't know if that's the recipe for success.
Yeah.
But I want to see what happens if he does take the many shots, and I don't know why he doesn't.
I mean, he puts them up. He gets them up there, man. His usage is really high. He's got 30 usage. He's 27 a game. I mean, he's putting some pretty decent numbers up.
His usage is not high. I don't care what the stats say. I watch a lot of them. His usage is not that high. Luka's
higher than Jokic. It's higher than Jokic.
No shot.
Yeah.
No shot.
Well, these aren't opinions. Usage rate's not an opinion. It's not the eye test. It's like
usage rate is how they derive the stat. I have no idea how they derive that stat. Anyone who watches the game knows that Jokic is used way more than Book.
Yeah, well, the word usage the stat should probably not be called usage rate because that makes you think how much does that guy touch the ball. That's not what usage rate measures. If that's what usage rate measures, Harden would have a 99% usage rate, and so would Doncic. Right? I get it. I see what you're saying. Yeah, the Suns are an interesting team. You're asking me to project the rest of Zion's career. God, that's miserable.
Do you think he's a 10+ year guy, 3 to 5 years? Do you think he's going to be a perennial all-star? Do you think he's a Zach Randolph? What?
I'll say this. He's put up decent numbers this year, but I expected a healthy Zion to put up a lot bigger numbers this year. Didn't you?
I don't know what I expected. Zion's been interesting, right? Because anytime he's injured, he comes back and he exceeds expectations. Then it's like a tailbone injury, so it takes all that like helium out of the balloon. and then his 25 and 10 don't look that great, right?
Yeah. I think Zion will make a few all-star teams. I think, we talked earlier about Giannis not aging well. Giannis is going to be 6'11" when he's 35 years old. Zion's going to be 6'5". That's the problem. And Zion,
Explain that?
From it, what?
Explain that?
Well, Zion's going to be short and 35 years old, and Giannis is going to be 6'11". 6'11" people can still affect a basketball game. 6'5" people who can't jump 45 inches can't as well, and not as easily. I'm not saying he's not going to be effective. He still could be. Barkley played well into his later years, but the fact of the matter is Giannis is 7 feet tall. Giannis could go sit in the post and dominate at age 34.
Zion is 6'6". I did not know that. I always thought Zion was like 6'9", 6'10". I thought he was a little bit taller.
Dude. He has little arms. He's got little short-looking arms,
too. He has little arms.
I mean, they're big arms, but you know what I mean? They're little, yeah.
T-Rex.
I worry about the second half of Zion's career. We've had some bumpy, issues in Zion's first half of his career, but it's the second half really that I worry about when he can no longer, take one dribble from 17 feet and then, put his ass on the rim. I worry about him because he doesn't shoot it effortlessly. He handles the ball well enough to get to the rim. I don't know. He just doesn't have that type of game that I think is going to age really well. He just doesn't, You
blew my mind. 6'5", 6'6". He's the height of DeMar DeRozan.
I disagree. I think DeMar DeRozan's taller. I've stood next to DeMar DeRozan.
That's wild.
I think DeMar is even taller. Yeah.
Who knew that? Who knew that in the comments? That kind of blew my mind. I always thought power forward, he's kind of 6'10", 260.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's another episode. This is a good one. Luca Nation, drop some comments, like, subscribe. We'll have some clips for you. Are you having fun, Cajun?
Oh, I'm having a blast, man. Yeah. You hit me out of nowhere. When did you give me the heads up about this? Like 3 minutes before we hit record? It's fine. We can talk about basketball anytime. No preparation needed. I'm happy to do it.
The game. Ball is life.